It was the summer of 2008, and the sky over the Pacific Ocean lit up with failure. 3 sleek Falcon 1 rockets, each one the pride of Elon Musk's young company SpaceX, had roared off the launch pad only to explode in brilliant fireballs before ever kissing orbit. Back home in California, another crisis brewed. Tesla Motors, the electric car venture Elon had poured millions into, was bleeding cash amid the global financial meltdown. Factories sat half-built, suppliers demanded payment, and investors whispered about bankruptcy. Elon, then 37, hadn't slept properly in weeks. He paced the Tesla factory floor at night, staring at spreadsheets that spelled potential ruin for everything he had built. Picture a kid's wild backyard rocket experiment scaled up to life-or-death stakes, where one more blast could end the dream of colonizing Mars and driving the world away from oil forever. But to understand how Elon Musk turned a modest fortune into hundreds of billions, making him the richest person alive, we have to start at the very beginning, explained like you're 5. Imagine a curious boy growing up in Pretoria, South Africa, in 1971, born to an engineer father named Errol and a Canadian model mother, May. Elon's world was full of books rather than friends at first. He devoured encyclopedias, science fiction like The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, dreaming of distant galaxies and heroic quests. School was rough. Bullies targeted the quiet, bookish kid until a growth spurt and some self-taught martial arts helped him stand tall. His parents divorced when he was about 10, and life at home grew complicated, but Elon found escape in computers. At age 12, he taught himself programming from a VIC-20 manual and created a simple space game called Blaster, which he sold to a magazine for around $500. That's like turning your crayon drawings into actual pocket money that buys more crayons and bigger ideas. By 17, seeking adventure and a path to America while dodging mandatory service under apartheid, Elon left South Africa with little more than a suitcase of clothes and books. He arrived in Canada, relying on his mother's citizenship, and took tough jobs, cleaning grain silos on a farm in Saskatchewan, working at a lumber mill, even handling vegetables at a grocery store. These weren't glamorous gigs, but they built grit. He enrolled at Queen's University in Ontario, then transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, earning dual degrees in physics and economics by 1997. College parties helped pay bills, but Elon was already sketching plans for electronic books and energy storage, interning at Silicon Valley startups to soak up the tech boom. In 1995, fresh out of college vibes, Elon and his brother Kimball co-founded Zip2 in a tiny Palo Alto office, scraping together money, including some from their father. Zip2 was like an online Yellow Pages on steroids, digital maps, directions, and business listings that newspapers could license instead of printing heavy paper books. They coded late into the night, sleeping on beanbag chairs, pitching to big papers like the New York Times and Chicago Tribune. It wasn't flashy, but it worked. Newspapers paid good money for this fresh internet magic. In 1999, Compaq bought Zip2 for $307 million in cash. Elon's 7% stake netted him about $22 million after the deal. Not bad for a guy barely 30, but he didn't splurge on yachts. Almost every penny went right back into his next wild idea. That idea was X.com, launched in 1999 as an online bank and payment system where people could email money like sending a photo. Picture handing cash to a friend through your computer screen instead of mailing checks or visiting a stuffy branch. It grew fast, but competition was fierce. Elon merged it with Confinity, Peter Thiel's company behind the budding PayPal service. The combined force took off, but boardroom clashes led to Elon being pushed out as CEO in 2000. Still, when eBay snapped up PayPal in 2002 for $1.5 billion in stock, Elon's 11.7% ownership delivered roughly $176 million. Now he had real fuel for bigger dreams. He became an American citizen that year and poured about 100 million of those winnings into founding SpaceX in May 2002. His goal? Make space travel cheap enough for humans to become a multi-planet species, starting with reusable rockets that didn't cost a fortune to throw away after one flight. Like building Lego spaceships that you can reuse instead of snapping them apart each time. Around the same time, in 2004, Elon invested $6.35 million into a startup called Tesla Motors, founded by engineers Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, who wanted to prove electric cars could be fast, fun, and practical. He became chairman, later CEO in 2008, shaping the vision. Lithium-ion battery packs powering sleek vehicles that could challenge gasoline giants. The first Tesla Roadster, based on a Lotus chassis, hit roads in 2008 with a 250-mile range, a thrilling sports car that whispered zero emissions. But success was never smooth. The 2008 global financial crisis hit like a perfect storm. SpaceX's first 3 Falcon 1 launches failed. Engine troubles, stage separation glitches, one rocket tumbling into the sea. Money dwindled to weeks of runway left. Tesla burned cash on Roadster production delays and supplier fights. Elon maxed out personal credit cards, borrowed from friends, and slept little, dividing time between the two companies. It was his darkest hour, divorce from first wife Justine adding personal pain amid the professional fire. One more failure, and both dreams could collapse. Then, on the 4th Falcon 1 attempt in August 2008, success. The rocket reached orbit, a tiny but massive victory that secured NASA contracts worth over $1.6 billion. Tesla delivered its first Roadsters, proving electric cars weren't just golf carts. From there, the story accelerates like a Tesla on ludicrous mode. SpaceX developed the reusable Falcon 9, landing boosters upright on drone ships or land starting in 2015, slashing launch costs dramatically. The Dragon capsule docked with the International Space Station in 2012, the first private spacecraft to do so. Starlink satellites began beaming internet from space in 2019, aiming to connect remote areas. Tesla rolled out the Model S in 2012, a luxury sedan named Car of the Year, followed by mass-market Model 3 in 2017. But ramping production brought production hell. Factories became chaotic battlegrounds of robots and humans, parts shortages, and software glitches. Elon slept on the factory floor in Fremont, California for weeks in 2018, pushing teams through 70-hour shifts, tweeting updates that rattled Wall Street. Critics called it unsustainable, yet Tesla hit delivery targets, stock soared, and the company became the world's most valuable automaker at points, crossing trillion-dollar market caps. Elon's wealth exploded mainly from his stakes, around 13 to 20% in Tesla historically, plus about 42% in SpaceX, which hit private valuations of $800 billion by late 2025. Early PayPal and Zip2 seeds grew into hundreds of billions as Tesla shares multiplied during EV adoption booms and SpaceX contracts piled up. He sold tens of billions in Tesla stock over years to fund ventures, pay taxes, and acquire Twitter for $44 billion in 2022, rebranding it X while facing debt and value drops. Personal life added layers, multiple marriages, many children via IVF including with Neuralink executive Siobhan Zillis, and public revelations of Asperger's shaping his intense, literal thinking. Controversies swirled around management style, tweets, and politics, but the core drive remained. Accelerate sustainable energy and make humanity interstellar. The turning point wasn't one launch or earnings report, but the relentless compounding of vision meeting execution. Near bankrupt in 2008, Elon emerged with reusable rockets, landing like science fiction come true, electric cars outselling luxury rivals, and Starlink serving millions. His net worth milestones tell the tale. First billionaire list entry in 2012 at $2 billion, surging past $300 billion in 2021, $400 billion by late 2024, and records topping $600 to nearly $788 billion amid SpaceX tender offers in 2025. Yet wealth serves the mission, not the other way around. Elon bets it on factories, satellites, tunnels via the Boring Company, brain interfaces at Neuralink, and AI at XAI, always pushing boundaries. In the end, Elon's journey reveals something profound about human potential. Starting as a bullied kid coding games in South Africa, he showed that big dreams, backed by obsessive focus, calculated risks, and learning from spectacular failures, can reshape industries and futures. It's not about getting rich for mansions or jets alone. It's using that power to solve existential puzzles like climate change and space extinction risks. Like 5-year-old building sandcastles but refusing to let waves wash them away, Elon keeps rebuilding bigger, proving one determined mind can launch rockets, electrify roads, and maybe one day land humans on Mars. The story continues, with new challenges ahead, but the boy who sold Blaster has already changed the world in ways few imagined possible. The rocket didn't just land, it stuck the landing like a dart in a bullseye. December 2015, Cape Canaveral, Florida. Falcon 9 booster number 1 separates from its second stage, flips gracefully in the black sky, fires its engines in a controlled burn, and touches down on landing zone 1 with legs splayed like a giant metal spider settling in for the night. Engineers in mission control erupt. Elon Musk, watching from Hawthorne, California, lets out a whoop that echoes through the room. After years of explosions, near misses, and critics calling reusable rockets impossible, SpaceX had cracked the code. Launch costs, once hundreds of millions per flight, could now drop toward tens of millions. NASA took notice. Private money flowed. The boy who once dreamed of Mars while reading comic books had just taken the first real step toward making it affordable. But money doesn't come from landings alone. It comes from scaling. SpaceX won massive contracts. Crew Dragon ferrying astronauts to the ISS starting in 2020, billions in lunar lander deals under Artemis, and the monster Starship program. Starship, that stainless steel behemoth taller than the Statue of Liberty, aimed to carry 100 people, or 100 tons, to orbit, refuel in space, and head to Mars. Early tests were fireworks. Starship prototypes exploded on landing pads in Texas, but each boom taught something. By 2024, orbital flights succeeded. Catches of the booster with giant mechanical arms called chopsticks became routine. Starlink, the satellite constellation, grew to thousands of units beaming broadband to ships, planes, disaster zones, and rural homes. By 2026, millions subscribed, generating billions in revenue, turning SpaceX from a rocket startup into a telecom giant in orbit. Valuations soared, $400 billion in 2025, $800 billion by late 2025 tender offers, whispers of $1.5 trillion if it went public in 2026. Elon's roughly 42% stake ballooned into hundreds of billions on paper. Tesla's story ran parallel, electric and relentless. After the Model S wowed the world, Model X followed with Falcon Wing doors, then the mass-market Model 3 in 2017. Production hell hit hard, assembly lines jammed, paint issues, battery shortages. Elon camped at the Fremont factory, sleeping under desks, tweeting at 3 a.m. about fixes. "We will get through this," he told employees. They did. By 2019, Model 3 became the best-selling premium sedan in America. Shanghai Gigafactory opened, Berlin and Texas followed. Cybertruck launched in 2023. Angular, stainless, polarizing, but sold out fast despite delays. Full self-driving software improved year by year, though regulatory fights and crashes drew scrutiny. Robotaxi ambitions grew. By 2026, Elon promised widespread fleets, Optimus humanoid robots walking factory floors, picking parts, folding laundry in demos that looked like sci-fi coming home. Wealth compounded like interest on steroids. Tesla stock splits, surges on EV adoption, battery breakthroughs, energy storage megadeals. Musk's ownership hovered around 13% after sales for taxes and other ventures, but the market cap climbed into trillions at peaks. A 2018 compensation package, voided then reinstated by courts in 2025, added massive value. Another November 2025 package, potentially worth $1 trillion over 10 years tied to ambitious targets, kept the rocket strapped on. SpaceX's private shares, xAI's explosive growth, valued at $250 billion after a $20 billion raise in early 2026, piled on. Net worth milestones flew by. $400 billion late 2024, $500 billion October 2025, $600 billion mid-December, $700 billion late that month. By January 2026, Forbes pegged him near $788 billion. Bloomberg around $690 billion, the richest human ever by a wide margin. Yet the path stayed bumpy. Personal life drew headlines. Elon appeared at White House events during Musk's brief 2025 role, advising President Trump on government efficiency, a stint ending in feud and resignation by May. Controversies swirled, tweets, politics, management style called intense or worse. Tesla faced sales dips in 2025, Cybertruck numbers disappointed some quarters, competition from China heated up. Still, the vision held: sustainable energy, brain-machine interfaces at Neuralink helping paralyzed people control computers with thoughts, boring tunnels, AI at xAI chasing truth-seeking models. What makes the story click like a perfect engine ignition is the psychology. Elon doesn't chase money for marble floors or private islands. He calls himself cash poor despite the numbers, sells possessions, reinvests everything. Wealth is fuel for the mission. Beat extinction risks from climate, AI, asteroids by making humanity multiplanetary. Failures aren't endings, they're data. Rockets blow up, analyze telemetry, iterate. Factories stall, sleep on the floor, fix it. Critics say impossible, prove them wrong with physics and persistence. As 2026 unfolds, Starship pushes toward Mars cargo missions, Tesla eyes robotaxi dominance, xAI races in AI. The kid from Pretoria who sold a game for $500 now commands resources rivaling nations. His fortune isn't the point, it's the byproduct of betting everything on ideas most people dismiss as crazy. Like a 5-year-old stacking blocks higher and higher, refusing to stop even when they tumble, Elon Musk keeps building. One day, perhaps soon, humans might step on Mars because a determined mind refused to accept gravity's limits. The wolf isn't on Wall Street anymore, he's aiming for the stars, and the world watches, richer for the ride.